Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mai, good evening. It's 5:30. This is Update for Thursday, 17th of August 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes to look at the latest news here on the Isle of Man and background to that news with sport and business and Sea Watch and travel updates. And the newsmakers in person this evening. A-level result day today. MV Manxman made her maiden voyage to Heysham, but it's 1 day on, 2 days off now. MGP restrictions on the Mountain Road in from tomorrow. Will Ramsey's smelly seaweed be swept away? And the Ravens made it back-to-back wins after a romping victory in Derbyshire last night.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. Fastamai Chanel Suku.
Fastamai. Manxman won't complete its first weekend sailings because it's predicted to be too windy. The steam packet company says it's due to operational restrictions at Heysham Port. Temporary speed limits and a ban on cycling on the Mountain Road will come into force tomorrow ahead of this year's Manx Grand Prix. And around 500 students received their A-level, B-Tech and other Level 3 qualifications on the Isle of Man today. In international news, friends, stars and work colleagues have remembered Sir Michael Parkinson with affection after news of his death following a short illness. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been invited to visit Downing Street this autumn. It will be his first trip to the UK since 2018. And the world's top chess federation has barred transgender women from competing in its females events. Officials say players who transition from male to female won't be allowed until further notice. Those were your headlines. News at 6.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Garamaya, thank you. Chanel from the Ronaldsway Met Office. There is a strong wind warning in operation later for the North Irish Sea. State of sea is currently slight or moderate. Some late brightness tonight. Lovely evening. Dry with a fresh to strong easterly. Overnight minimum 15 degrees. And for Jehenya, outbreaks of rain first thing tomorrow. Clearing Friday afternoon, then returning as heavy rain for Friday evening. All on a fresh to strong easterly. Top temperature 18 degrees tomorrow. And down to 16 through the night into Saturday. Jasan will be wet on a strong south-southwesterly. Clearing at lunchtime. Dry and brighter later. And 19 degrees. Tide's still on the way out. Low water's 11 minutes past 7. Sunset 9:15 tonight. High tide 12 minutes after 1 a.m. Sunrise at 6 tomorrow morning. And the morning low tide at 14 minutes to 8.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
Around 500 students have received their A-level, B-Tech and other Level 3 qualifications on the Isle of Man today. Tessa Hawley with this report.
Statistics from the island's 5 secondary schools show the overall pass rate for A-levels graded at between A-star and E was 97%. 41% of students secured A-level grades A-star to B, with 67% securing a pass rate of A-star to C. 44% of students who studied for a Level 3 B-Tech at University College Isle of Man got a distinction. For some students at Ballacameen High School, today is the second time they've received their results. They were emailed their grades yesterday in error, with the school blaming an administrative error. The Department of Education, Sport and Culture says early indications show that around 2/3 of students intend to enrol on degree courses at universities or through University College Isle of Man. It adds the trend of 18-year-olds opting for full-time employment instead is expected to continue. Last year, a third of school leavers moved directly into the workforce. Congratulating students, Minister Julie Edge said these outcomes hold great importance for our young people, offering a range of choice. She's thanked staff at secondary schools and UCM for guiding and supporting learners on their educational path, adding, as we celebrate the accomplishments of the island's young people today, it's important to recognise that every student's journey is unique. Whichever path they choose, there are many options open to them and success is always achievable. Results awarded to students today reflect a return to pre-pandemic grading processes for national and international examination boards. Staff have been in schools and UCM today to offer advice and support as the youngsters consider their journey into higher education, employment, apprenticeships and other career opportunities.
Temporary speed limits and a ban on cycling on the mountain road will come into force tomorrow ahead of this year's Manx Grand Prix. Here's Sean Cowper.
Unlike during TT, the mountain road will remain two-way for the duration of MGP, but from tomorrow, cycling on the route will be prohibited until the evening of Wednesday, the 30th of August. Between Ramsey and the Gooseneck, there'll be a temporary 50-mile-per-hour speed limit, while the section between Kate's Cottage and the start of the existing 40-mile-per-hour zone at Hilbury will be restricted to 60 miles per hour. There'll also be additional 50-mile-per-hour zones between Greeba and Ballacrane, Ballaugh and Solby, and the Douglas to Ramsey Coast Road, as well as the Slock Road. Details of all the additional speed limits can be found on Manx Radio's motorsport website. Meanwhile, motorists on the Snaefell Mountain course early tomorrow morning may notice the electronic red flag system in use as race organisers are due to test the lights at 7 a.m. The first practice for this year's Manx Grand Prix takes place on Sunday.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
Well, the motor vessel Manxman's going to be arriving back in Douglas just gone 6:30, according to the Steam Packet website, following her maiden voyage to Heysham. Almost 600 passengers were on board when the new Steam Packet flagship vessel departed Douglas for the first time. Managing Director of the Steam Packet is Brian Thompson.
It's sad to say, but it doesn't compare at all. Anyone who's seen the pictures on social media of on board the Manxman, or anybody who's been lucky enough to have a walk round, it's chalk and cheese compared to the Ben. The Ben's been a workhorse, done a fantastic job over the years, but the Manxman's just going to bring a whole new level of passenger comfort and pleasure for that journey.
What are they going to expect on board today then?
So we've got the normal lounges that you're used to, but just with a higher level of comfort. We've also got an Ingebrek lounge, which has reclining airline style seats, so you could actually fully recline and sleep on. I don't think anyone will be using those today right enough. The restaurant and the bar is a huge upgrade on what's been available on vessels before, so I think people are going to really be blown away by the whole experience.
And it's been years in the making, this getting the Manxman here today. How do you feel to see it ready to welcome passengers on this morning?
So obviously I've come into the project only 2 years ago, but I've seen all the work that's gone into it from the board, from the staff, and even all the unsung heroes behind the scenes, because getting a new vessel ready for sea isn't easy, and it's been a huge amount of work for everyone in the company, and I don't think anyone outside of that can really understand the amount of work and sophistication that goes into a vessel of this type.
Have you been involved in similar projects in the past? Is it been relatively plain sailing when you consider what process we've had to go through?
I think this has been a huge success to get to this point in this timescale and on this budget, and that's no sort of being negative about anyone else, but just being positive about our own project and about our own staff who have delivered it.
FC Ahalaman made it back-to-back victories in the NWCFL Premier Division as they swept to a comprehensive 4-0 away win at Glossop North End last night. Speaking to FC Ahalaman's website at full-time, manager Paul Jones reacted to the side's clinical performance.
In the end, a very good result for us. We've got Adam Kelly to thank really in the second half for a fantastic penalty save, and that was at 2-0, and the game would have been very different maybe for 10 or 15 minutes if he doesn't make that save. It was a soft penalty. I'm not really sure it was a penalty, but he's made a great save, and it was a scrappy game. We'll play a lot better and maybe draw or lose games this season, but we had some real quality and key moments, and that was the difference really, I think. And I'm ever so happy with them in terms of getting a result when they didn't play fantastically well. But at the same time, there's a lot more to come, I think, which is really positive. When we made all the substitutions, things got a little bit more control again. I think we had some good spells and good opportunities, but it was one of those games where you go away thinking, like, we've done well to get our 3 points. We'll be happy with that. We'll not dwell on everything else too much and ruin the moment. But also know there's still a lot to work on and a lot more to come from the group. Weekend off on Saturday, and then we've got Wednesday, Saturday, Monday, Saturday, Tuesday. So it's going to be a really busy period for the club and a really busy period for the group, and we'll need a number of bodies. We'll have to keep an eye on Dean Lees. He got a couple of knocks to the head in the first half and had to come off at half time, and Owen had a tight hamstring in the second half, so we'll have to see how he is. But we've got good players who weren't with us, who we know we're going to be able to use, and hopefully keep this kind of winning streak going. But really positive. It's good to come away and make it all worthwhile, and hopefully they're really happy with themselves in terms of seeing a game out.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Well, our brand new motor vessel Manxman departed Heysham at 3 o'clock. She's due back in at around 6:45 or shortly before. Tonight's departure, by the way, of course, is Ben McCree. 8:15 Ben McCree heads to Heysham, arriving there just before midnight. The overnight departure, 2:15, back to Douglas at 6 tomorrow morning. The fastcraft Manannan left Douglas at 14 minutes to 4. She'll be in the Mersey around now, but won't be in on the link span till about 6:30. Departing at 8 o'clock tonight, back at 10:45 this evening. Tomorrow morning's departures, 7:15 Manannan heads to Liverpool, 8:45, not Manxman, sorry, Ben McCree heads to Heysham.
Like the Steam Packet on Facebook for the latest sailing information.
After missing this year's TT and Southern 100, Manxman Nathan Harrison will make his Snaefell mountain course return at this year's Manx Grand Prix, which gets underway on Sunday. He'll once again contest the classic Superbike race. The Onken man also tells us now what taking part in the MGP means to him.
I can't wait. Obviously, the TT course is what I live and breathe. I started racing to race around the TT course, and I was absolutely gutted to miss out on the TT from my Northwest 200 crash, but there was a lot of things going on in my life around that time as well. So I think, personally, looking back now, I think everything was meant to happen for a reason. I was trying my hardest to do the TT, and my dad and Javier, the Honda Racing UK boss, were like, you're not doing it, basically, as a soft blow. But looking back now, I could see fully why they said that, and I wouldn't have been fit. I probably wouldn't have done myself justice. And then obviously everything that was going on at home, it just wasn't right. But we spent the last few months getting back up to fitness, back in the gym, going away doing some track days. I was racing at Fruxton at the British Championship last weekend. I'm feeling strong, and I can't wait to get going again. It's been a massive thing for me, all my family really. My dad first did it, and then my brother did it. He was in the Tommy Club in 2017. Then I come along and I got in the Tommy Club in 2019. I won the Junior and Senior Manx Grand Prix, and we kind of went there because I did it as like under the radar, just built myself up slowly, didn't put pressure on myself. So that's what we did. I did 2 years at the Manx Grand Prix, and then obviously it was my first TT in 2022 after COVID, and I got a top 10 in my first senior TT. It was natural progression. The Manx Grand Prix has been a massive part of, like you say, my whole family's racing career, and I'm glad that I can support it this year, and I'll do everything I can to promote it. I obviously want to win, but we'll go out, we'll just build up throughout practice week. Obviously I have missed TT, so that was like the best 2 weeks of weather that the Isle of Man's had at the TT, I think, ever. So typically I was sat at the sidelines watching everybody else have fun, but no, we'll build up slowly, build up throughout the week, just like we did last year, and then see where we are and see what we can do with that beautiful RC45.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 16 minutes before 6, shares in hydrogen firm ITM Power made gains today as the company posted interim in line with expectations as it seeks to turn its fortunes around. Headquarters in Sheffield in South Yorkshire, ITM Power designs and makes electrolyzers to produce green hydrogen. The company in January issued a profits warning and operating losses as it continued to struggle in its transition from a research and development outfit into a volume manufacturer at scale. And for a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookall.com. India has got problems with tomatoes as Burger King is taking the tomato out of its food in Indian outlets after a sharp rise in tomato prices. BK said it made the decision because of unpredictable conditions on the quality quality and supply of tomato crops. The burger chain is the second in the country after McDonald's dropped the ingredient from its menu too. Experts say crop damage due to bad weather conditions have caused a shortage in the market. Earlier this week in India, Reuters reported Subway removed tomatoes from menus as India's food inflation hit its highest since January 2020. It even cancelled the free cheese slices it offered with a sandwich for years. Prices of essentials have rocketed in India in recent months, with the tomato hitting a peak of 250 rupees, that's about £2.40 per kilo in July, as monsoon rains disrupted crop and supply chains.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK and European markets retreated after the US Fed July meeting minutes showed further interest that rate rises weren't off the table. The dollar was off a 2-month high. Oil rose after China's central bank sought to stem the rising tide of pessimism, and gold edged higher as a dip in the dollar offered some respite. The numbers from Ramsey Crookall at the close in London: the FTSE 100 down just over 0.6% at 7,310. The DAX in Frankfurt down 0.75% at 15,669. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial fractionally down 0.07% at 34,742. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index down 0.5% at 13,404. And the S&P 500 in Chicago down just over 0.1% at 4,399. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling trading at $1 27.4 cents, €1 17.1 cents, and 24 South African rand 31.7 cents. In commodities, gold's fractionally down 0.02% at $1,891 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude up 1.5% at $84.53.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future. For a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Consumer inflation on the Isle of Man's at a 19-month low, standing at 5.8% for July, down from 6.9% the month before. So we asked the Treasury Minister, Alex Allinson, MHK, is he happy with these results?
I am, but obviously this means that prices have still gone up. And I think a lot of people and families and businesses, and in fact the government itself, have seen that increase in prices. So what we need is stabilisation, particularly in terms of energy prices. But also one of the big things last year was that government put a lot of money into the economy, try to allow people to adjust and adapt to what might be a different economic atmosphere for the next year or so. And so we, in terms of Treasury, are keeping a very close eye on the local economy and the effects some of these price rises have had. We know that with the Russian invasion of the Ukraine last March, there was a sudden increase in energy prices, and obviously the Isle of Man government stepped in to freeze electricity prices, and Cura stepped in to try to regulate gas prices so that consumers could benefit when they started coming down. And we've seen the start of that, but what we're now dealing with is the increase in particularly in food prices, and those have obviously had a little bit of a time lag until those have come. But I think most people have noticed when they're buying a basket of groceries that the price has gone up, in some cases quite considerably. So obviously from a benefits point of view, Treasury have been very involved in terms of increasing benefits in this year's budget, but also making sure that those people who may be struggling with their personal finances, please do get in contact with the benefits section, even if you're not on benefits at the moment, so that we can try to help you as much as possible through what may be an ongoing difficult period as we get into the end of this year. We're expecting inflation to continue to go down, but again, that means that prices as a rule have gone up.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio Sport.
Fast to my sports editor Rob Pritchard.
Fast am I. Good evening. The Isle of Man's men's and mixed netball teams are getting set to test themselves against top UK opposition this weekend. Both teams will take part in the UK National Championships in Loughborough between the 18th and 20th of August. It'll be the men's second outing at the competition, but the first time the island has fielded a mixed team for the event. Men's squad member Stephen Mulhern and mixed team competitor Cassie Pizzi believe this weekend is about both teams gaining more experience.
We're starting to be a little bit more tactical. I think when we first spoke, it was a hot rush of blood, I guess would be the best way to describe some of our games. But I think we're starting to slow down, read the game a bit better, and looking forward to going again for the men's competition.
It's a new challenge for us, so we'd like to do as well as we can. But I think we're going in just really seeing what we can do with that because it is completely new. So I wouldn't really say there's an expectation, but just to develop.
In motorsport, Manx rider Mark Colvin is set to lead the order for this year's junior MGP race on the Snaefell Mountain course. The top 20 seeded riders for the class have been announced, with Colvin at number 1 in a race where he secured third place in 2022. Behind him will be Italian Andrea Maiola at number 2, who just missed out on a podium spot last year in 4th. Jamie Williams, Victor Lopez and Daniel Ingham make up the rest of the top 5. You can view the full top 20 list over at our dedicated Manx Radio Motorsport website at motorsports.manxradio.com. And in athletics, it was victory for Corran Leeming again last night in round 4 of the No Rest for the Wicked series on Douglas Head. Leeming made it 4 wins on the bounce on Wednesday evening, with the fastest men's time in the Kilomile event in 6 minutes and 7 seconds, taking 3 seconds off the course record he set last year. Mark Berman made it back-to-back second-place finishes in a time of 6 minutes 40 seconds, with another third-place finish for Charlie Swales close behind at 6 minutes 42. Elsewhere in the women's series race, Jess Bryan was fastest in 8 minutes 16 seconds, with Becky Pate second, 8 seconds back, and Becky Watson securing third.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Inbound at Rollsway, the 10 to 8 Loganair from London City is on time, the 5 to 8 Loganair from Liverpool on time, the 5 past 8 EasyJet from Manchester is on time, but the 25 to 9, you guessed it, EasyJet from London Gatwick won't be in until 20 past 9 tonight. Outbound 6 o'clock Loganair to Liverpool, the 25 to 9 EasyJet back to Manchester, but the 5 past 9 EasyJet to London Gatwick won't be going out until 10 to 10 tonight. On the roads, in Onken, temporary lights on Governor's Road between Summerhill and Blackberry Lane for some patching work. Temporary lights in Bulgham on the Coast Road for wall repairs. And the Doon Loop Road in Glenmole is closed for ditching work. Temporary lights on Queen Street, Castletown between the Parade and Farrants Way for work on the pavements. And you've got phase closures. They should have wrapped up by now, but may still be on in Derby at the Ballymena Road for water main replacement. Garth Road near Foxdale is closed between the Tossaby Road and the Foxdale Road for bridge replacement work. East Quay Peel closed between the House of Manannan and the Road Bridge. In Douglas, temporary lights on Victoria Road at the Falconcliff Terrace Junction for water main work. And York Road's closed between Woodburn Road and Ballaquail Road for resurfacing. Hillside Avenue Douglas closed till the middle of June next year for adjacent office window replacement. And Annika Road and Cushing Road in Farm Hill closed in phases for resurfacing.
H&H Motorcycles.im for all your motorcycle requirements. Southgate Industrial Estate, opposite Quayside Tyres. Call 665646.
Ramsey commissioners have agreed to look into cleaning seaweed off the beach. The local authorities had complaints from sea swimmers who say that after easterly winds it washes onto the shore and starts to smell. Our local democracy reporter Emma Draper speaking to Commissioner Steve Kelly.
I think this has all come about when we had the early morning swimmers and the late evening swimmers, and with them we seem to have done quite a bit with reclaiming a bit of the beach back, and now also trying to keep the beach clean. And they were saying, which people don't understand, when you do get easterly winds, you do get a lot of seaweed coming in onto the beach, and with that it takes days before the seaweed goes back out again. So when it gets hot again, it can smell, which is very unfortunate. But we can look at, which we did 30-40 years ago, possibility of cleaning the beaches. It wouldn't be every day like we used to do. Possibly after an easterly wind, we can then look at the situation. If we've got the appliances to do it, then we will go down and hopefully clean the beach for them.
Would you be open to having volunteers do it rather than your own staff?
Yeah, hey, the more help the merrier, to be quite honest and truthful. Yeah, charities, we have the beach buddies and whatever, but I know they only do the litter. But if there is other charities there who would like to come and help us, get in touch with Ramsey Town Commission and say, we're here, we'll give you a hand to clear the seaweed off the beach. My biggest problem at the moment is, as I said in the meeting, is we still need to wait for DEFRA and from the Wildlife Trust to come back to us before we can make a decision on what we do.
The Isle of Man in 30 minutes. Update on Manx Radio with Andy Wint.
Fast am I after 6 o'clock tonight. It's Chaclet with Marilyn Crellin, our Manx language programme. The interim report by the UK's Marine Accident Investigation Branch into the deaths of 3 shore workers in a cargo hold access space aboard an Isle of Man registered ship has been released. The men died aboard the bulk carrier Burge Mawson during cargo loading procedures at the Bunyu anchorage in Indonesia on the 27th of June last year. The story from Simon Richardson.
The Burge Mawson, which has 9 cargo holds, was loading coal. On the morning of the 27th of June, holds 2, 4, 6 and 8 had been filled and the hatch covers closed for at least 24 hours. The other hatches were also closed to prevent heavy rain entering them and saturating the cargo. A bulldozer was used throughout the loading process to trim the cargo. At about 1300 hours, the bulldozer operator, whilst looking for the vehicle, opened and descended unsupervised into the number 8 cargo hold. He was quickly overcome by the oxygen-depleted atmosphere and fell to the deck of the cargo hold access space. The alarm was raised about 24 minutes later by an assistant foreman. At 13:28, 2 shore workers who'd seen their stricken colleague descended into the cargo hold and also collapsed. Shortly afterwards, Burge Mawson's rescue team donned breathing apparatus and recovered the 3 casualties to the main deck. Despite prompt medical attention, none of them regained consciousness and were declared dead. The MAIB investigation is now complete and a draft report is being prepared for distribution in due course to stakeholders ahead of a 30-day consultation process.
That's it for Update tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Chanel Suku, producer Rhiann Evans. Yes, you heard it. Ben McCree is doing Friday and Saturday daytime sailings. The Manxman's operating under a temporary 26-knot wind limit for entries into Heysham Port. So if you thought you were on the Manxman tomorrow, I'm sorry you're not. That's it. Back tomorrow at 5:30.
WINT